Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and in this video, we're going to be covering some things that you should never accept or settle for from women. Compromise is a part of life, and the same is true for any relationship. A healthy relationship does in fact require a level of flexibility and compromise, but these are 5 things that you should never compromise on or settle for from women. And just to get this out of the way early, yes, these absolutely apply to men as well, and I would give the same advice to women, but since my audience is 95% male, that is who I'm speaking to. So getting right into it here, the first one is inconsistency. If you've been around for a while, you know I do not support any sort of mind games or inconsistency from someone that you are trying to build a relationship with. This is, quite frankly, setting yourself up for disaster. This could include playing hard to get, being hot and cold. It's an immediate no from me. All of these things are just incredibly unhealthy and show a substantial lack of maturity and security in oneself. And you shouldn't accept inconsistency for a number of reasons. The first one being that it creates uncertainty, confusion, and insecurity for both of you. When one partner is inconsistent with their words or their actions, it can be difficult for the other person to know what to expect from you or how to respond to things. This can lead to mistrust, anxiety, anxious attachment, a lack of emotional safety in the relationship, a bunch of stuff that a healthy relationship does not entail. Inconsistent behavior can also be interpreted as a lack of commitment or interest in that person. Over time, this is going to crack that foundation of your relationship and cause both of you to feel disconnected and unhappy. And in the beginning stages, even leading up to a relationship, say you're in the talking stages and this inconsistency or playing games is occurring quite often, you're not going to know if this person likes you or not. You're going to be questioning yourself. You're going to be questioning the relationship. You're starting the relationship off not knowing how that other person feels about you. It's unhealthy, it's inconsistent, it's immature, and I wouldn't recommend it. And on the flip side here, consistency in a relationship is going to help build trust, stability, security, all things that a healthy relationship should have. It's going to allow both of you to feel comfortable and confident in your interactions with each other, which is then going to foster a deeper emotional connection and a stronger bond between the two of you. While we're talking about healthy relationships here and things that you shouldn't settle for, big thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel most comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from an in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off of your first month at betterhelp.com/Courtney Ryan. That's betterhelp.com/Courtney Ryan. And I've also linked them down below in the description for you. My next point that I want to talk about is no intimacy, and I really want to make sure I'm clear on this point so my words don't get misconstrued and you don't take this a direction that I'm not going. FYI, there's also some construction happening outside of my building. It's very annoying and very loud. I'm trying to record between it, but if you hear something loud and annoying, that's what it is. I think when we hear the term intimacy, we automatically think it's strictly physical, but intimacy in a relationship includes so much more than that. Intimacy, by definition, is a feeling of closeness and connection in an interpersonal relationship. This includes physical, emotional, intellectual, experiential, and spiritual intimacy. And this is essential in a relationship because it forms a basis for communication and connection between both people involved. Intimacy is important in a relationship because it creates a deeper emotional connection. It's going to promote trust and enhance the overall quality of your relationship. When you share intimacy with each other, you might feel understood, accepted, and valued by each other, which can then lead to increased relationship satisfaction, better communication, and a stronger bond overall between the two of you. Intimacy can also have positive effects on your mental and physical well-being, including reducing stress, promoting relaxation, and improving your overall well-being. On the contrary, a relationship with no intimacy can lead to feelings of loneliness, emotional distance, and a lack of connection. And without intimacy, a relationship can become stagnant, unfulfilling, and honestly just lead to dissatisfaction and unhappiness for both people involved. A lack of intimacy can also lead to decreased physical affection, which can leave you feeling unloved and unwanted. Over time, this might lead to resentment and conflict, which can ultimately result in the breakdown of your relationship. I believe it's incredibly important for both people to prioritize intimacy and work together to create a strong physical and emotional connection with each other. If you have no forms of intimacy in your relationship, you end up just feeling like roommates who are living parallel lives and just coexisting with each other without any true connection, which absolutely should be there in a romantic relationship. My next point is a one-sided dynamic. So this could also be a major lack of effort or no effort from the other person. Of course, relationships have ebbs and flows, and sometimes one of us gives a little more than the other, and it kind of goes back and forth depending on the season that you're in. And especially if you're contributing in different ways, it might not always look like a 50-50 thing. It's not always going to be 50-50 necessarily, so that's not what I'm referring to here. You shouldn't keep tally marks or make things transactional anyway. But what I am saying is a relationship requires effort from both parties, and if that's not happening, it's going to cause some issues. When one person is consistently taking more than they give or they never give, it can cause the other person to feel unappreciated, undervalued, or taken for granted. And ultimately, this will have negative consequences on trust and emotional connection. In a healthy relationship, both people should feel valued, respected, and supported, and each person should be making an effort to contribute to the relationship in a meaningful way. It doesn't have to look the same for both of you. Again, many of us take on different roles in our relationships and have different responsibilities and ways that we bring value, so keep that in mind. But I do believe a relationship requires effective communication, a mutual respect, and a commitment to working together in the relationship. And quite frankly, I don't think you should be settling for any less than that. And that leads me into my next point here, which is a lack of communication. There should be absolutely no settling or compromising on a lack of communication because this is a fundamental element of any healthy relationship. And I'm not saying this woman or man in your life needs to be perfect. This is something that requires active effort and healing for many people. But at the bare minimum, the effort to be actively working on this aspect of themselves needs to be present. Now, this can cause a wide array of problems, but just to name a few: misunderstandings, unnecessary conflict, frustration, no trust or emotional connection, the list goes on. And I know I've said this about 1,000,000 times, but I will happily say it again. Your partner is not a mind reader, and you have to be able to effectively communicate with them in order for them to better understand your needs, your feelings, your perspectives, everything about what's going on. When there's a lack of communication, you might feel like you're not being understood, you're not being heard, which can lead to you feeling disconnected from the person you're with, isolated, and lonely, which are not good ways to feel in a relationship. This can also lead to unnecessary misunderstanding and conflict, as I mentioned, maybe by making assumptions or jumping to conclusions because thoughts and feelings aren't being properly communicated to each other. In a healthy relationship, you should feel comfortable communicating openly and honestly with each other, even when it's difficult. Emphasis on even when it's difficult, because there will be times when it is, and that's when it counts. And effective communicating requires active listening, empathy, and a willingness to work together to resolve issues and strengthen your relationship with each other. Communication is important. Do not settle for a woman or man who says, "This is just how I am, I'm not changing, I'm not willing to work on this." You deserve better than that, point blank. And again, communication is a fundamental element of any healthy relationship. And my last point here, which I believe to be the most important, is mistreatment and manipulation, and really any form of abuse. And I know this is a rather heavy point, but an important one for all of you to understand and really listen to. This comes in many forms, whether it be physical, mental, or verbal. It's not healthy or respectful to tolerate any form of this. You have to be able to set boundaries and know when it's time to walk away or get help if you need to. You do not have to settle for any form of abuse. It is not normal and not something you should ever compromise for, settle for, or accept from a woman. And yes, women are capable of mistreatment and manipulation as well. I know the media typically doesn't highlight this, but the amount of men I have had reach out to me who were experiencing some sort of mistreatment or manipulation from a woman is staggering and concerning. And just to be very clear, the same applies to all of you men who are watching. This is never okay, it is never acceptable, and never a way that you should be treating a woman. So again, just to reiterate, yes, this applies to both men and women. Bad apples on both sides. I am not a medical professional, so I don't want to give specific examples here or accidentally misdiagnose something. Every situation is very different and requires, you taking the effort to get the help that you need or reach out to someone who can assist you. So I'm going to include some resources for you down in the description. If this is something that you are currently experiencing and need a little bit of help with, do not feel bad about getting help. Again, I know this is a rather heavy point for me to talk about, but I think it's incredibly important given the amount of men I've had reach out to me experiencing this. Not ending on the brightest note here, but that's all I have for this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. Would love to hear from you down in the comments. Are there any points that I missed, anything that you've experienced or realized that you didn't want to settle for or accept or compromise on? Would love to hear your personal experience and stories down in the comment section if you're open to sharing them. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.